Hey everyone, it's your pal Steve Cole, and we're back for another episode of Sessions. It's been a while since our last episode, but we've been busy. We've been traveling, doing some shows, working on some new music. It's actually been a pretty busy time. And when I talk about we, I'm not talking about like the royal we. I'm talking about me and my band. Over the last several months, I've been working with an incredible group of musicians. Jeff Bailey on bass, Kaviesh Kavaraj on keyboards, Brandon Commodore on drums, Dave Feely on guitar, and the occasional horn section with Scott Agster on trombone, Lucia Sarmiento on saxophone and flute, and Adam Meckler on trumpet. It's been an absolute blast. And hope to do a whole bunch more of that. Now, on Facebook, I asked for some suggestions about some things that you're curious about that you'd like me to talk about. And one of the things that keeps coming up is, when are you going to be in, fill in the blank? When are you going to be in my town, right? And I would love to be in your town. But if you want me to be in your town, you got to tell somebody about it. The other thing is that, I do travel with a band. So, we're basically only doing shows where the whole band can show up. And so if you want that, let it be known. If there's a club that you see artists at in your town, let them know. If there are festivals you go to, let them know. And the more you let them know, the more likely it is that we're going to be there. Another question I got was, why don't I put out vinyl? And that's a really great question. First of all, lead time for vinyl is pretty long. As you may know, vinyl is kind of popular these days, and there's not a whole lot of places that make vinyl records anymore. So if you want to get in the queue, you got to get in pretty early, and that's like 6 to 8 months sometimes. The other thing is, vinyl's hard to carry. So lugging a bunch of vinyl to shows, that's a little bit arduous. But nevertheless, don't give up hope. I'm not giving up hope. Even though there are a lot of obstacles to vinyl, I still think it's the most amazing medium, and I would love to put out some music on vinyl. One of the other exciting things is that my new album, without a doubt, we're on the 3rd single, and I really want to thank all the radio stations from all around the country for supporting this record. The first single that came out was Come On Y'all, and I did a show on that. The second tune that came out was called Echoes, which was a really interesting song that I wrote with Adam Hawley and played on soprano saxophone. I actually dragged out my curved soprano on that song. And now we're on the 3rd single, which is called 1-2. And that is actually on the radio right now. It's on Sirius XM. It's on your local radio stations. If you do have a smooth jazz local radio station in your town, if you're lucky enough to have that. And again, I really, really appreciate all the support from radio that we're getting on that single. So a little bit of a backstory about 1-2. All right, kind of a double meaning. So first of all, when I was writing music for this record with Adam, it was, this was one of the very first songs that was written. As a matter of fact, it was the second song that was written. And we were kind of excited about how things were going. And I remember Adam saying something like, hey, man, it's like, in terms of singles, it's like 1-2, right? We've already got 2 singles. But my personal story about this song is a little deeper than that. So as many of you know, I grew up in Chicago and lived in Chicago for many, many years. And then I moved to Minneapolis about, 12, 15 years ago, something like that. And the one thing that's interesting about Chicago and Minneapolis is that the area code shares 2 digits, and that's 1-2. So I came from the 312, and I now live in the 612. So for me, this song is all about kind of like Chicago, Minneapolis, and kind of putting those 2 cities together, the 312 and the 612. So that's 1-2. It's area code agnostic. Speaking of Minneapolis, one of the things I've actually been able to do, you know how it is when you have friends visit from out of town? And, that's when you discover all of the cool things about the place you live because you want to show people around. Man, I have been completely blown away by this town lately. The restaurants, the distilleries. I like a little bit of bourbon. The breweries, the music, the theater. It's really astonishing. I mean, man, somebody should do a festival here. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just saying. Anyway, so I prepared a little in-studio performance for you guys of the new single. And you know what? It's one of my favorite songs on the record. I know I say that about every single song. I'm like a broken record. No pun intended. But I really do dig this song. It's got kind of a Steppers feel, so it's got that kind of 3-1-2 vibe going on. And it's also it's got horns that were arranged and performed by David Mann. And so the horn arranging is brilliant, and it really makes the tune. So I'm really excited for you to hear that, which we're going to get to very shortly. The other thing I want to talk about is I am going to be creating, as some of you know, I'm kind of a watch guy. Now, I don't have a very large collection of commercially available watches. I have some. But I have a very large collection of watches that I made myself. And so I build watches, and I'm studying actually the movements of watches. So it's really become a passion of mine. But the building of them and the designing of them is really, really fun for me. And one of my favorite things to do is design them for other people. So for those of you who have seen Acoustic Alchemy lately, or who have seen any concert in this genre, you probably know a guy named Jay Rowe. He's got a new single out, actually, you should check out. And Jay Rowe and I have been sharing an inside joke, our love of the movie American Graffiti. And I call Jay Rowe the Pharaoh. So if you know that movie, you know what I'm talking about. And so Jay asked me, after he saw a watch that I designed for myself, if I would design one for him, and I did. And it's called the Pharaoh for Jay Rowe. So maybe when he gets it, he'll share it with you. But I will share a watch that I've been working on. And let's see if I can get this in focus. There we go. It is the Steve Cole Signature Custom. So this is an homage to my Trevor James Signature Custom Raw saxophone, which has a very kind of a beautiful patina to the brass. It's unlacquered, and just a beautiful horn. And I wanted to create a watch that kind of honors that design, and came up with the Signature Custom, which I might actually be making available for sale. Each one of them is designed and built by me, and they might even be able to be personalized for you. So if you're interested in one, just gauging the market demand right now. So feel free to leave a comment if you're interested, and then we'll see if we can bring some of these to market. Anyway, so that being said, back to the third single on my album, Without a Doubt. It's interesting. I actually recorded the music earlier today, and I picked up, not really even knowing it, I just kind of grabbed my Selmer Supreme off the rack and performed this little in-studio performance on the Selmer Supreme tenor, which I really like. It's an amazing instrument. Although, I gotta say, most of the playing that I'm doing live and in the studio is on this bad boy. And I was really, really thrilled when Trevor James called me, asked if I wanted to try out their new signature custom phosphor bronze tenor. Now, I'm not going to say no. And the funny thing is that how I really started playing it regularly was that I was trying it out, and I had a show that I was leaving for the next day. I put it in the case, having every intention of swapping it out with my regular signature custom raw tenor saxophone, which I've been playing for years now. And I forgot to do it. So I picked up my horn case, got on the plane, opened it up at sound check, and lo and behold, this is what was in the case. So, you know, no harm, no foul. And the first time I actually played this was at the Jazz Legacy Gala in Norfolk, Virginia last year. And I was really, really excited to play this live. And I kind of haven't looked back. It's got a really amazing focused sound. It's a little bit livelier than the raw. And you know what? If I'm in a little bit more of a spicy mood, this is the horn I'm going to go for. And also, it's freaking gorgeous. So how do you not do that? I mean, it's like bling for days. Anyway, unfortunately, on this particular performance, you're not going to be able to hear it. You're going to hear the Selmer Supreme. And I hope you enjoy that. And please leave me some comments. Talk to me about what you'd like me to address, what you'd like me to talk about, what you're curious about. And I'll put together some shows that take a bunch of your suggestions. So until then, I'll see you next time.